The sun rose softly over the quiet village of Cranford. Emma stood by the window of her modest home, watching the dew glisten on the garden flowers. Today was Mother's Day, a day she never thought much about since her sister, Claire, and their mother had a strained relationship. But this year was different. Her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, clutched a small, carefully wrapped box behind her back. Emma's heart warmed at the sight. Lily had spent the entire morning whispering about a surprise, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Just as Emma sat down with a cup of tea, Lily eagerly handed her the gift. But before Emma could open it, a sharp voice interrupted from the hallway. "That's not for her," Claire said, stepping in, her eyes cold and dismissive. Emma froze, the room suddenly heavy with tension. Lily's small face fell, confused and hurt. Claire's words echoed louder in Emma's ears. Why would she say that? What was in the box that wasn't meant for a mother? The quiet morning suddenly felt like the start of something Emma wasn't prepared for. Emma slowly peeled off the delicate paper from the box, her hands trembling slightly. Inside, nestled in soft cotton, was an old, silver locket. It wasn't just any locket. Engraved on its surface were tiny initials, faint but unmistakable, E.B. Lily's eyes were wide as she watched her mother examine the gift. "I found it in Aunt Claire's room," she whispered, her voice small. "I wanted you to have it for Mother's Day." Emma's heart skipped a beat. The locket was beautiful but mysterious. How had Lily come across it? And why was Claire so adamant that it wasn't meant for Emma? Her mind raced back to childhood memories, the times when their mother had worn a similar locket, something Emma had never seen since. The family had many secrets, but this one suddenly felt urgent, alive. Claire stood by the door, arms crossed, watching with a mixture of anger and fear. "That locket belonged to Mum," she said sharply. "She wanted it buried with her. It's not for you." Emma clenched her jaw. "Why didn't you tell me about it before?" Claire's face twisted. "Because some things are better left forgotten." The tension thickened the air. Emma looked down at the locket, feeling its cool metal against her palm. There was a story here, something hidden deep beneath years of silence. And Lily's innocent act had cracked open the door. Emma decided then that she had to find out the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. The following morning, Emma woke with the silver locket resting heavily on her bedside table. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a keepsake. Something about it felt like a key, perhaps to her past, or to the hidden truths her family had long buried. At breakfast, the house was unusually silent. Claire kept her distance, avoiding Emma's gaze, while Lily fidgeted nervously with her spoon. Emma knew she had to tread carefully. Determined to uncover the mystery, Emma decided to explore the attic where her mother had spent countless hours. The room was thick with dust and the scent of old wood, but it held the memories Emma sought. As she rummaged through forgotten boxes and faded photographs, a folded letter slipped from behind a stack of worn books. The letter was addressed to Emma's mother, but the handwriting was unfamiliar. The words inside hinted at a promise broken and a secret kept from Emma herself. The letter mentioned a hidden room in the mansion, somewhere beneath the floorboards of the old study. Her heart pounded as she looked towards the study door. The mansion's quiet walls seemed to hold their breath, as if waiting for her to unlock its darkest secrets. Outside, Lily tugged at her sleeve. "Mum, please be careful. Aunt Claire is upset." Emma nodded, clutching the locket and letter tightly. Whatever lay beneath the floorboards, she was ready to face it. Emma stood before the study door, the letter's words echoing in her mind. She knelt, feeling along the wooden floorboards for any sign of a loose panel. Her fingers traced the grain until they found a faint outline, a door concealed perfectly within the old wood. With effort, Emma lifted the panel, revealing a narrow stairway descending into darkness. The air smelled musty and cold, carrying the weight of years untouched. She hesitated, then grabbed her phone for light and carefully made her way down. The small underground room was lined with shelves filled with old journals and faded photographs. Emma's breath caught as she spotted a dusty portrait of a woman resembling her mother but younger, standing beside a man Emma did not recognize. Underneath the portrait, a nameplate read, "Edward Blackwood." Suddenly, a soft noise startled Emma. She spun around and saw Claire standing at the top of the stairs, her face pale but her eyes fierce. "You shouldn't be here," Claire said quietly, her voice trembling. Emma held up the letter. "I need to know the truth. What is all this?" Claire looked away, conflicted. After a long pause, she whispered, "There are things about your family you were never meant to discover." Emma's heart pounded as she realized the mansion held secrets darker than she had imagined. The past was reaching out to her, demanding to be uncovered. Emma's fingers trembled as she picked up one of the journals from the dusty shelf. The leather cover was cracked, worn by decades, yet the pages inside were surprisingly well preserved. She flipped open to a random entry dated nearly 100 years ago. The handwriting was elegant, belonging to her great-grandmother, Eleanor Blackwood. The words painted a picture of a woman trapped in a life she did not choose, bound by expectations and secrets. Eleanor wrote of a forbidden love affair with a man named Thomas Gray, someone who was never meant to be part of the Blackwood legacy. Emma's heart quickened. Could this explain the strange tension she had felt since arriving at the mansion? The forbidden love, the concealed rooms, the secret letters, all pieces of a puzzle that connected her family to a hidden past. Claire stepped closer, her expression softening. Eleanor's story was hidden to protect us all. The Blackwoods have long carried a burden that no one dared to speak of. Emma continued reading, discovering accounts of whispered meetings, coded messages, and plans to escape the suffocating life that Eleanor was forced to endure. The journal ended abruptly, leaving more questions than answers. Suddenly, the floor beneath them creaked. Emma looked up sharply. "Did you hear that?" Claire nodded. "You're not alone here. Someone else is searching for the truth too." A chill ran down Emma's spine. The mansion's secrets were stirring, and whatever was hidden was not ready to be found. Emma and Claire moved cautiously through the dim corridors, clutching the journal tightly as if it were a lifeline. The house seemed alive with whispers, its walls echoing secrets too long buried. A faint draft led them towards the attic, a place Emma had avoided until now. The narrow staircase groaned under their weight as they ascended. Dust motes danced in the pale light filtering through the cracked attic window. Boxes and old furniture lay scattered, remnants of a forgotten era. Emma's eyes caught sight of a peculiar wooden chest in the corner. It was covered in intricate carvings, symbols that seemed to pulse with an unspoken meaning. Claire approached it hesitantly, brushing off layers of dust. "There could be something important inside," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. With a deep breath, Claire lifted the heavy lid. Inside lay letters tied with faded ribbons, photographs yellowed with age, and a small locked box. Emma's pulse quickened. The lock was old-fashioned but sturdy. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the attic, extinguishing the lone candle Claire had lit. Darkness swallowed them briefly. Emma's hand brushed against something hard beneath the letters. A diary, its cover embossed with the name Eleanor Blackwood. A sudden creak from below made them freeze. Someone was in the house. Someone who did not want the past uncovered. Emma's heart pounded louder than the footsteps approaching the attic stairs. Emma and Claire exchanged a quick glance, their breath caught in the chilling silence. The footsteps grew louder, deliberate and steady, coming up the attic stairs. Emma clutched the diary tighter, her fingers trembling. Suddenly, the attic door creaked open. A tall figure stood in the threshold, a silhouette framed by the dim hallway light. It was Mr. Hargrove, the reclusive neighbor, his expression unreadable but intense. "What are you two doing up here?" His voice was low but sharp, cutting through the silence. Emma stepped forward. "We're trying to understand the history of this house, the Blackwoods. There are things we need to know." Hargrove's eyes narrowed. "Some secrets are best left buried." Claire held up the journal. "This belonged to Eleanor Blackwood. She was part of this family. There are stories here, stories of betrayal and loss." Hargrove sighed, a flicker of sadness crossing his face. "Eleanor was my sister. I warned you for your own good. The past you dig up will only bring pain." Emma's heart pounded, but her resolve hardened. "We need to uncover the truth. For our family. For ourselves." Hargrove stepped back, the shadows swallowing him as he retreated down the stairs. Emma and Claire looked at each other, knowing the attic held more than just old memories. It held the key to a dark family secret that had been protected for decades. The diary's pages whispered promises of revelations yet to come, but the house seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Emma and Claire spent the next day poring over Eleanor's diary, deciphering her cramped handwriting under the flickering light of the attic. Each page revealed fragments of a story buried deep within the walls of the Blackwood estate. Secrets of love, betrayal, and a tragedy that had been carefully hidden. The diary told of Eleanor's forbidden love with a local artist, Thomas, who was never accepted by her family. Their meetings were secret, stolen moments in the gardens and the old boathouse by the river. But Eleanor's father had discovered the affair and threatened to disown her if she continued. One chilling entry described the night Eleanor vanished. She wrote about a confrontation in the study with her father, words exchanged that were sharp as knives. Then silence. Emma's breath caught as she read the last words Eleanor had penned. "If I disappear, know that I went to protect what I loved most." Suddenly, a loose floorboard creaked beneath Emma's feet. She knelt and pried it open, revealing a small, dust-covered box. Inside were letters, sketches, and a locket containing a faded portrait of Thomas. Claire gasped. "This changes everything." Eleanor didn't just disappear. She was silenced. A cold wind swept through the attic, as if the house itself was reacting to the unveiling of its darkest secret. Emma knew this discovery would bring answers, but also more questions, and possibly danger. Outside, the distant church bells tolled, echoing through the misty afternoon. Emma and Claire looked at each other, their resolve unshaken despite the shadows closing in around them. The secrets beneath Blackwood Manor were finally coming to light, but the true reckoning was only just beginning.